One day their lives were perfectly normal, the next day they vanished.
She was my hero, and she still is.
No witnesses, no clues. Where are they? Fred has been searching for his daughter for months.
I don't like the looks of this right here, though, I'll tell you. This is what I gotta do. I don't want to.
Megan has searched for her mother for years.
I want to think that she's okay, but after 4 years, you know...
Gone in the blink of an eye. These families need your help. That's what's coming up right now on Montel. Welcome, and thanks so much for joining us today. You know, when a person disappears, someone somewhere always knows something. I want you to take a look at this. According to the FBI, over 150,000 adults were reported missing this year alone. In a scenic New Hampshire town, a beautiful college student crashes her car and simply disappears from the scene. On a quiet street in Nebraska, a teenage boy is doing chores right in front of his house and is never seen again. In Salt Lake City, Utah, a mother has dinner with her daughter and drives home. Her daughter hasn't seen her since. On a bright spring day in Oregon, a pretty young woman vanishes from her family's apartment complex. Did these people walk away from their seemingly happy lives, or was foul play involved? How can a person simply vanish without a trace? Well, we've heard so much about missing exploited children, but hardly ever do we talk about missing adults. Now, earlier this year, a 22-year-old college student disappeared without a trace. Take a look at this. Maura Murray was a smart, outgoing college student with a close-knit family, a loving boyfriend, and many friends. She seemed to have everything to live for, making her disappearance all the more puzzling and disturbing.
Maura was a wonderful person. She still is a wonderful person. She had an unbelievable personality. She always had a smile on her face. Her smile was contagious. She was the type of person that when she went into a room, everything just got brighter.
On a snowy day in February 2004, it is believed that Maura was on her way to a cabin retreat in an area she had been to many times before. Maura came around an icy turn and crashed her car into a tree. Police were called to the scene.
When the cops got there, she was nowhere to be found. After that, it's a big mystery.
Maura was spotted walking several miles away from the accident. No one has seen her since. Friends and family are left to wonder if she willingly walked out of their lives or if Maura became the victim of a crime.
It's just not like her personality to just take off and leave everyone not knowing and worrying.
She's a very trusting girl and probably seeked help from somebody passing by, and it could have been the wrong person, and that's what we're really worried about.
Please welcome Fred to the show. You're Maura's dad, Fred, and I just, what has this been like for your family? I mean, it's one thing to know. It's another thing to just have this question.
I don't let myself think about it. You know, I just try to stay busy doing the next thing that makes sense to do what I have to do to find Maura and then get Maura back. And I'm just so busy following the next thing that's in front of me.
The next lead, the next
whatever, you know.
Yeah, let's back up. You and your daughter were extremely close.
We were. Maura and I, well, sort of like best friends. I mean, there's a divorce, and so I'd see her almost every day after school, you know, and I'd coached her in all kinds of sports and things like that. And now that she was in college, I'd visit her maybe every 3 weeks a month. We'd go away somewhere for the weekend, and oftentimes it led us to New Hampshire. We'd do things like climb mountains. We'd go running together, you know, for an hour at a time, things like that. And we're buddies. You know, it's a different type of relationship. I mean, we're father and daughter, but friends. Hang around together.
And buddies enough that, okay, the day before, was it the day before or 2 days before when she got in the accident with your car?
It was, yeah, 2 nights before.
2 nights before?
Yes.
Let's talk about that for a second, because what happened?
Well, I was up visiting her for the weekend. She needed a new car. and we spent the afternoon looking around for a car to buy. We decided what type. That night, we went out to eat. She got a call from one of her friends, and she was going back to the dorm to spend some time with a friend. She dropped me off at a motel that I was staying at, took my car, and on the way back from the dormitory, she had an accident. And the car was towed back, and she told me about it in the morning, and I, you know, wasn't actually all that upset. I was concerned with how I was going to get back to my job, because it was Sunday, and there was all the car places are closed. So we made the arrangements, you know, and I asked her to call me that evening, you know, because we had to talk about how to make out a police report and stuff like that, and she did.
When did you get the call that something was awry? Or did you get a call?
About 24 hours after the accident, I got a call from the local police.
And they said what to you?
That my daughter had been in an accident, that they found a car registered to me on the side of the road in a hairpin corner. She had been in an accident the evening before. They did not know where she was, you know, and so I drove through the night so I could be there for the search in the morning, but I was at the search when I got there.
And from what different reports have said, that she crashed her car. She obviously at one point in time got out of the car. People saw her at the scene, and people also saw her a distance from the scene. Is that
Yes. In fact, the person who called in the accident saw her at the car, beside the car, 1 to 2 minutes before the police arrived.
And this was people literally almost across the street.
Across the street.
Okay. They were looking up, they saw this girl who was in the car accident there 2 minutes before the police arrived.
Yes, which is what frustrates me so much now, because that means when the police got there, she was no more than 200 yards down the street. All they had to do was drive down around the corner. They could have grabbed her, and Maura would be here with me now. But they didn't do that, and she is not here with me now.
Let me take a break, and when we come back, maybe you can tell us what people think may have happened, because either she was that kind of person that may have accepted help. It was a snowy day. Young woman on the side of the road, car obviously crashed. Somebody passing by that scene would see a person walking down the street, maybe offer help. I don't know. We'll talk when we come back. We'll take a break. We'll be back right after this.
It's so hard to live with that hope. The phone rings and it's her. And that emotional letdown that it's not her. When you open your email and she hasn't sent one, or you come home and you realize that she's still not there. Having that hope every day, it's hard. It's unbelievably hard.
So what do you think happened to your mom?
I want to think that she's okay, but after 4 years, you know, you start to think that there was something tragic that happened, and, you know, you don't always know what the answers are.
If Maura weren't such an important part of my life, then it would be easy for me not to hope. Being that she is such a grand and enormous part of my life, it's impossible for me not to hope. I mean, each and every morning when I wake and evening when I fall asleep, I hope that some miraculous event or happening will occur which will bring her back to me.
That was Maura's boyfriend we just saw, and she's been missing since February 9th, 2004. Every single weekend since her disappearance, her father, Fred, has gone out searching for her. I want you to take a look at this.
On February 9th, my daughter came around this corner, had an accident right in the spot. No one has seen her since that evening. I've come up here every weekend to do what I can to try to find her. When I go out searching, I look for a place like something like this. A bad guy could have picked my daughter up, gotten off the main drag, come in here, and had complete freedom from detection to do anything he wanted, and then at his leisure to dispose of evidence. My daughter had a black backpack, and if I could find something from that, a cell phone, anything that might lead me to her, it could have been discarded, thrown out, if a guy grabbed her. I'll have to keep doing this, because if I don't, nobody else is. And it'll just be a cold case on the back burner, and years from now, no one will ever, I'll never know, and I can't live like that. I'll go to some areas, I go, oh my God, and oh geez. And I'll go in, I'll look at it, and I'm almost holding my breath. I almost don't want to look. But the scarier it is, the more I go in, you know, because that's the likely spot. I don't like the looks of this right here, though, I'll tell you. This is what I gotta do. I don't want to. It's like when I search things, I don't want to find anything. And at the end of the day, someone says, any luck? What do I say? I said, I didn't find anything, and boy, am I glad. I'll keep looking because I have to. But I hope I never find anything. I owe it to my daughter. I mean, if somebody harmed her, if she's dead, I can't let her just stay there. I've got to go get her. I've got to bring her home.
Fred, my heart goes out to you, everybody who's probably watching this, but if in fact she was picked up by somebody, she could be in another state. She could be...
Anything could have happened to Montel, but what frustrates me is that it was the investigation, if you can call it that, didn't start right away. It was, she could have been grabbed a minute or two after the accident, but then no one looked for her for 39 hours after that.
And let's talk about that. When the police arrived at the scene, here's a witnesses who say there's a young girl who was in an accident. And I guess they've said that a lot of times people will stage car accidents as a way to disappear. But you gave them enough information. I mean, everybody around Maura would say there was no reason for her to disappear.
No reason at all. I mean, she was graduating from nursing school in June with honors. She was looking forward to a job traveling to different parts of the country, maybe as she got married, traveling with her husband, you know, Bill, who she was going to marry. And everything was looking rosy. I was going back up to buy her a new car the next week, you know, and she had absolutely no reason. But, I mean, we needed things like the phone call she made the afternoon that she left. The police didn't call and find out and trace that phone call. And we did, and she actually called a lady who rents rooms in a place up in Bartlett, New Hampshire, which is where we always go 4 or 5 times a year. And
so she may have been getting ready to go up there and stay.
Oh, absolutely. She was trying to book a room, and she was headed in that direction. And so if the police aren't tracing things like that, what kind of investigation is going on now? The FBI offered their assistance in the first week in the case, and the police said, no, we don't need the help. They keep saying, well, it's a runaway, it's a hypothermia thing, it's a suicide, anything to avoid saying it's a bad guy. A bad guy grabbed it, it's happened in our backyard, and we've been powerless to do anything about it. So I ask them to accept help. You know, if the fire department can't put out a fire, they call help from the neighboring town. The police haven't done that.
Crazy. Please welcome Sharon to the show. Sharon, you were Maura's boyfriend, well, Maura's fiance's mom.
Yes.
How's your son doing with this?
He says he's doing well, but, you know, he's just like Fred. He just faces one day at a time and fears the worst and hopes for the best.
Well, you know what? I tell you, we put some information up on the screen. I'm going to take a little break. Hopefully someone, like I said at the top of the show, whenever a person disappears, someone knows something. And maybe someone who's looking at this show goes, I remember that night. Just now, they're thinking about, oh, I remember that car. I drove by. I remember a car. I saw a girl. If you saw something, make sure you call the number that we put on the screen. We'll take a little break when we come back. A woman disappeared 4 years ago, and her daughter refuses to give up hope. We'll be back right after this.
Everything was left behind, her credit cards, her cell phone, her medications, her puppy, her new truck, and her house, and her children, and her friends. You know, people just typically don't do that. And I think I know my mom well enough to know that my mom wouldn't do that.
After a few of those searches, emotionally it was really hard to be involved on the various trips that we take. When we stop, I just think, oh, look at this vast land. I mean, there's so many places to hide somebody.
son vanished almost 4 years ago, and her daughter is desperate for answers. Take a look at this.
My mom saw the best in people clear to almost a fault. She was very good at caring even when most people wouldn't care.
Is that what got Janis Stavros into trouble? Did she care for the wrong person? A person that took her away, or worse? On January 3rd, 2001, Megan and her mom, Jan, had a typical family dinner together, but that night would turn out to be anything but typical.
Well, I said my goodbyes that evening after we'd had dinner, and she left, and I haven't seen her since. It started to register with me late on the 4th that she wasn't returning my phone calls and something just wasn't right. The next day, I looked at my dad and I said, "You need to find my mom today." And he went over to her house the next day right around 1 o'clock, and he said it was just, you know, the strangest thing. I'm walking around and everything seems like she should be there, but she's not there. If a child goes missing, you know, in the middle of the night and somebody saw them take her, they're going to take that very seriously. Whereas, unfortunately, with adults, they just go, well, they're an adult, they have the right to disappear. If she were going to just walk away from her life, some of that seems like it would take a little bit of planning. Everything was left behind: her credit cards, her cell phone, her medications, her puppy, her new truck, and her house, and her children, and her friends. You know, people just typically don't do that. And I think I know my mom well enough to know that my mom wouldn't do that.
Police investigations and searches by Megan and her family have turned up nothing.
I don't like to not hope, so I want to believe that I will see her again.
Please welcome Megan to the show. Tell us about your mom, Megan. Tell us about her.
You know, she was just such a happy, adorable, you know, lighthearted, fun individual. You know, she loved to be around people. She was very social, enjoyed interacting, and also very kind and saw the very best in everybody around her.
Let's talk about the day that your mom went missing.
Well, I had crashed my car, so I was at her house, and we were hanging out, and she and her boyfriend at the time were hanging out, and I said, well, I need to get back to the house. I have some homework. Let's run me back over to my stepdad's house where I was living. And so the three of us got in our brand new truck and drove, you know, about 2 miles down the road and dropped me off at my stepdad's house. And my stepdad and my mom, you know, were very, very amicable. I mean, they'd been pretty much business partners for 15 years. So they stayed, and we ate pork chops and broccoli and, you know, just had an evening together with all four of us.
And then when did you find out she was missing?
You know, the next day just was like, something is wrong here. I can't pinpoint it. I'm not, you know,
When you woke up, you felt that way? Or?
The next day, during the day, I was like, something's not right. And
did you try to call her?
I tried to call repeatedly, tried to call. My stepdad, you know, going, you know, settle down, you know, things are fine. She's just probably out doing something. And, you know, so I just said, okay, you know. Couldn't get a hold of her. And so next day I looked at my stepdad. I said, you need to find my mom. Something is not right. She just doesn't not call me. She always has her cell phone. She always has, you know, if she's not at home, she has her cell phone. She always talks to me, no matter what's going on. So.
And to no avail?
No avail.
So what do you think happened to your mom?
I want to think that she's okay, but after 4 years, you know, you start to think that there was something tragic that happened, and, you know, you don't always know what the answers are, but...
Well, you know what we're going to do? We'll do the same thing. I think if anybody has information, they can come up on our website or the number that we have on the screen, and maybe that'll help, because when a person goes missing, somebody out there knows something, even if it was tragic. But maybe someone talked to somebody about having been involved in something untoward, and that person could come forward right now.
Well, I mean, any answers, you know, what happened, any condition or state or circumstance, you know, anything at this point would be something, and that's more than what I have now.
How's your stepdad doing? How's the rest of your family doing with this?
He struggled. My stepdad took this probably the hardest, because it's like, well, if we hadn't gotten divorced, you wouldn't, you know, had all these other emotions and things to deal with.
I don't know what to say, because as anybody would, and people looking at home, I mean, it's one of those situations. What do you say? I hope your mom comes home. I hope we find an answer. I hope at least there comes some answers for you.
There's always hope.
Absolutely. Let's hope for that. We're gonna take a little break. When we come back, a teen girl on a summer break from college disappears without a trace 6 months ago. Take a break. We'll be back right after this.
She was out cleaning the lampposts. It was probably around 10:50 to 11 o'clock in the morning, and then she wasn't there.
We don't have any one person, we don't have a solid suspect, and we don't have that one lead that gives us a good scenario of what happened.
Well, nearly 6 months ago, a teen girl vanished without a trace. Take a look at this. On May 24th, 2004, Brooke Wilberger, a beautiful college freshman, disappeared from this apartment complex.
She had come up from my parents' home in Eugene to do some maintenance work for my sister at the apartment complex that they were managing. She just disappeared. She was out cleaning the lampposts. It was probably around 10:50 to 11 o'clock in the morning, and then she wasn't there.
Local police are mystified about Brooke's disappearance.
We don't have any one person, we don't have a solid suspect, and we don't have that one lead that gives us a good scenario of what happened.
Her cleaning supplies were left there completely untouched. Her flip-flops that she had on were left in a manner that, you know, is indicative of perhaps a struggle. Brooke is not the type of person just to take off and not say something or leave a note or make a phone call.
Many community members who are devastated by the disappearance of this vibrant young woman have volunteered to search for Brooke.
After a few of those searches, emotionally it was really hard to be involved on the various trips that we take. When we stop, I just think, oh, look at this vast land. I mean, there's so many places to hide somebody. And so, yes, I think in some way, all of us are always searching for her. It's been hard. You have your moments where, you know, you just sit and cry. But we have a lot of moments of hope and of peace. And we know that we will see Brooke again.
Please welcome Shannon, Jessica, and Spencer. Please, Shannon. This had to be devastating. Tell us about your sister first. Talk to me about her.
Brooke is a wonderful person. Sorry. She's vibrant, she's energetic, she's athletic, she loves to be around people. We have a great time together. She's has a lot of friends. She just finished her freshman year at Brigham Young University and was so looking forward to going back. She was so excited that she'd made it through that freshman year. She was also excited to be home for the summer as she'd been away from her family for, you know, the year while she was gone. So she was excited to get back in the lives of her nieces and her nephews and all of us and just...
And so she came back, did she just volunteering to help out? Were you running the apartment complex?
Actually, it was an apartment complex that I have another sister that was, she and her husband were managing.
Okay, so Brooke went up just to help out, make a couple extra bucks?
Yeah, it was kind of her plan to, for summer work, my husband and I were also managing an apartment complex right across the street, so her plan was to, between the two of us, make some money for the upcoming year.
So on this day, she was out, had her cleaning the lamppost.
She was out cleaning lampposts.
Decorative lampposts, obviously.
Yeah, you know, like the ones that go around the parking lots. And she was so excited because she had, we actually took a girls' trip the Saturday previous, and she had showed us, as we had picked up my sister, she was showing us the lampposts because she'd completed half of them, and she'd said, these are the cleanest lampposts in Corvallis. These are so beautiful. And so that was what she was doing. She was out cleaning lampposts.
And that afternoon, your other sister had left for a moment and seen her out there.
Yeah.
But she was seen there cleaning a lamppost. People saw her.
Yeah, she had been seen. She was seen by people in the apartment complex. There were people that, you know, had voiced that they had seen her out there cleaning. My sister had actually spoken to her about 10 o'clock in the morning and, you know, and needed to go do some errands and had come back. And she had returned shortly after 11 and didn't see her out there, but didn't necessarily raise any bells at that moment. It was when she didn't come in for lunch that my sister had started to get worried.
So somewhere between 10 and 11. Spencer, what do you think happened to your sister?
I just think that someone came and took her, you know.
Snatched her.
And just came and abducted her. And luckily the police feel the same way and they acted really promptly.
The search and rescue team actually started searches at 11 o'clock that night, mass searches with hundreds of people searching these huge grid searches. They had those up and going by 11 o'clock that night. And she just disappeared.
Jessica, what's this been like for you?
It's been hard. She was my hero, pretty much, and she still is.
Well, you know, as I've said this entire show, big apartment complex. Somebody out there knows something, may have saw something, seen something, and have no idea that it's connected. So we'll put a number up on the screen. You can go up on our website. You can get more information. But just think, there may have been something, you may have been driving through this apartment complex that day.
And we really think that someone has seen something. It was a May, bright, sunny afternoon. It was like 70 degrees, a college apartment complex.
Yeah, it had to.
With a ton of people out all the time.
It was a school day.
So
Somebody
kids
saw
going in and out of that apartment complex 24/7.
Contact us here. If you've seen something at the number we put on the screen. I'm going to take a little break. When we come back, a young man goes outside just to do his chores, and he's never seen or heard from again. Take a break. We'll be back after this.
Michael heard noise outside and he looked out the window and saw Jason taking in the trash cans, and that was the last time that anybody ever saw him. I remember feeling a horrible feeling in the pit of my stomach that there was just something not quite right here.
Well, a young man was last seen outside of his own home, and that was nearly 4 years ago. Take a look at this.
Jason is my firstborn son. He was 19 when he disappeared from our home on June 13th, 2001. Jason disappeared on a Wednesday at about 10 o'clock in the morning. It was a summer day, June 13th. It was just a typical day. One of his jobs was to take the cans out and to bring them back in after they've been emptied. And Michael heard noise outside and he looked out the window and saw Jason taking in the trash cans. And that was the last time that anybody ever saw him. I remember feeling a horrible feeling in the pit of my stomach that there was just something not quite right here. And Jason would not just no-show and not call someone to tell them he wasn't coming. That was not like him at all. He's very, very responsible. As the skies dimmed and it became dark, we became even more concerned. We called the Omaha police in the morning and they came over and took a report. And the police officer said, he probably spent the night at a friend's house and he'll show up any time now. Well, it's been over 3 years and he still hasn't shown up. This has been like a nightmare that you do not wake up from. And every night when you go to bed, you wonder, where is he? Is he safe? Is he warm? We still always have hope, and I'll always have hope until I know what has become of him.
Please welcome Kelly and her husband Jim to the show. Welcome in. Kelly, tell us about your son. Tell us a little bit about your son.
Jason is a very loving and generous person who loves to laugh and loves life, loves his family very much, enjoyed being a homebody, and that was okay.
On this day, he had gotten called, well, I guess the night before or that morning by the place that he worked, asking if he could shift his shifts, correct? And they wanted him to come in earlier.
Right.
So he had gotten up, I guess, in the morning to go out and do what would have been his normal chores, take the garbage out and bring it in. He was bringing the cans back to the house.
That was last time he was seen him taking them in as he was getting ready to go to the earlier shift that they had called him to do.
Now, he was supposed to go, was he supposed to walk and meet these people at the school that were going to drive him to his job, or were they going to come pick him up? Or do you know?
Yes, they arranged to meet him at a local high school, which is about 7 blocks from our home, just simply because the girl that was coming to pick him up knew where that was versus trying to tell her how to get to our house.
Right, so he was going to walk over 7 blocks to this high school.
Right.
Get picked up. So obviously he pulled the trash cans back in, and your other son saw him, right?
Right.
So he had on his uniform to go to work.
That's exactly right.
So he takes off walking, and I guess the people who were coming to pick him up, he never met them.
That's right.
So somewhere between your house and 7 blocks away, your son went missing.
Also,
I'm sorry?
Also, 2 neighbors saw him before he left.
And where did the neighbors see him at?
Bringing the cans back in.
By the house?
Right.
When was the last time you spent any time with him?
The last time was like the night before. Family was all together. We all had family time. We all sit around, watch TV, and joke around, and he was easy to laugh real easy. We always had this little game where we see who could make each other laugh first, and he'd always be the first to laugh.
Well, now, so after he doesn't show up at the high school, did they then call you and say, hey, where's Jason? He's supposed to be in here.
Well, we were both at work, but they called the house, and of course, our younger son, Michael, was there and said, well, he left. And so that was, of course, all that Michael could tell them.
And then obviously, when did they reach out to you and tell you your son was missing?
Didn't they call you first?
Yeah.
Or you came home before me?
I got home around 3 o'clock, and they said he still wasn't there. So again, you really start worrying. Thought maybe he took off, just walking, because he would like to walk quite a bit. So we thought maybe he'd show up a little bit later. And Michael our other son had a baseball game. We went to that, and after that, he still wasn't around. So we really got worried, and you can't really do a police report or anything for 24 hours. So there's all that waiting time to call all his friends and, neighbors and everything and but no one had seen him.
It's been 3.5 years, almost 4 years. What do you think happened?
We don't know. But that's why we need everyone's help. Take a look at his picture. Someone's seen something, someone knows something, please call the authorities and help alleviate our pain. It's not only our pain, it's our family, it's our co-workers, it's everyone. Please help us.
And it's a fact. I've been saying this entire show. When a person comes up missing, there may be somebody out there right now that was driving down the street and they don't even realize that they saw what it is they saw. They've been thinking about this the last 4 years, going, I wonder if I saw that boy getting in that car. No, he wasn't getting it. Now they may be looking at the show and going, that was the boy I saw. So pick up your phone and make a call. See if you can ease the pain in his family. We're going to take a little break. We'll be back right after this. Please welcome the president of the National Center for Missing Adults, Kym Pasqualini. Welcome to the show, Kym. It's interesting because, I've done almost 2,500 shows, and I think that's the first time I've said the Organization for Missing Adults. It's always been for exploited and missing children. And it's almost as if, I don't see milk cartons with adults' faces on the side. Nope. I don't see posters out there with adults' faces on the side. And just as many adults go missing in this country as children. Is that not a fact?
Well, on any given day, there are approximately 40,000 missing adults in the National Crime Information Center, which we refer to as NCIC. The alarming number, though, of the 40,000, over 30,000 of those adults have been in there for over a year and are considered long-term missing persons.
How often are people like this recovered?
People are recovered every day, but it's the cases like those that we've seen today that are just mysterious disappearances. Missing persons are not like a homicide investigation or burglary investigation where there's some kind of evidence left behind. Many times there's nothing. And I think the problem is that within the law enforcement community, one, there are no mandates that require entry into NCIC or for them to even take a report. You can go from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, and every missing person case is going to be treated differently.
What do you say to a family like the families that I've had here on the show? My son's missing for 4 years. Walked outside to move a garbage can.
Yeah.
Now, what do we say to them? I mean, and of course, this family is holding on to every shred of hope that they can.
And these families did everything that they could. You know, they're left with hope at this point. Hope that someone is going to call with something that may seem irrelevant to the case. It may be a huge lead. You know, if anyone saw anything, they need to call in. But these families also, they are their missing persons' best advocates.
We'll take a little break. We'll be back right after this. What do you do? What does a family do? Like right now, people at home, tonight, a child's missing, or not a child, a member of the family is missing this evening. And most laws in most states and jurisdictions do say you got to wait 24 hours.
That is not true.
It isn't true. Tell me.
It is not true.
Let's debunk some of the rumors.
You know what? We've watched so many TV shows, and some law enforcement agencies may still operate that way, but there is no law across the board, no federal law that says that law enforcement agency has to wait 24 hours. When you're waiting 24 hours, you are losing time. So we encourage families to go and work with that law enforcement agency, make that immediate report when you think something is wrong so that there can be a response.
You make the report and you get the response back from the police. I'm fine.
And you, yeah.
Can't help you. Got to wait till tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? We're busy here. You know, I got a cat in a tree.
Right.
All right, so then what do? What can I do right then? Do I call you? Do I call my neighbors and say, let's go look in?
There is no handbook that a family could ever have that would prepare them for something like this. But yes, if you're receiving a no from the officer at the desk, go to his superior. If you are still not receiving a response, you may want to go to some of your representatives. Media, nobody is stopping you from going to the media to request assistance. There are agencies like ours across the country that would also provide you guidance and support.
That's what we need. Well, if you have any information about any of the people that we featured on the show today, you can please contact the National Center for Missing Adults at 1-800-690-FIND, or log on to www.missingadults.org. That's www.missingadults.org. We'll take a break. We'll be back right after this. Well, for more information about today's show, you can log on to our website, which is www.montelshow.com. I want to thank you so much for what you do, because there's a lot of families out there relying on people like you. Thank you. Honestly. And again, I'm going to emphasize it one more time. When somebody goes missing, I will guarantee you somebody knows something. So if you have any information, you think you might have information about what you saw today, contact the National Center for Missing Adults at 1-800-690-FIND, or log on to their website at www.missingadults.org. Join us on tomorrow's show.